Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another tutorial video. On this video we'll be creating this flared dress with organza top design. So if there's something you're interested in, please keep watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and let's get right into the video. For this tutorial, we'll be needing 4 yards of this poly fabric and 1 yard of the organza. Then you'll be needing your zip, your tape, your chalk, your scissors, and let's get right into this video. Now for this video, we'll be drafting the skirt part first. I went ahead to fold my fabric into 4. I divided my waist measurement by 8. And I went ahead to mark it at this end of the fabric. And after doing that, I went ahead to join these points together, and this is going to be my waist point. I came up with about ½ inch to give space for the joining allowance. Okay, now I'll be placing my half length on that line, and I'll be marking my full length on the fabric like this. So I'm going to keep shifting my tape, mark my full length, shift the tape again, mark my full length, making sure that my half length is on that line. Okay, so I'm going to keep placing the tape and marking my full length like so. Okay, and I'm going to be joining those points like so, so that I have a curve, and I'll be cutting it out. Now after cutting it out, I'm going to be slashing open this point like so. I went ahead to slash open that point and the one under as well, so that I have 2 pieces. And then I went ahead to cut out the same thing, but this time around I'm slashing it open just once, so that I have 1 long pieces. So the long one is going to serve for the front, and the 2 small ones will be for the 2 parts of the back. Okay, so let's move into the drafting of the top bodice. I went ahead to draw my starting line, and from that starting line I will be placing my shoulder to chest at 8, my shoulder to bust at 10, my shoulder to under bust at 13, and my half length, which is my waistline, at 16. I went ahead to draw a line across those points, and I will be labeling them. The next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my neck round, and to do that I went in by 3 inches and came down by 2.5 inches, and I'll be making a curve to join those 2 points. Next, I divided my back shoulder by 2, and I'll be placing it on my shoulder line and also my chest line, just so that I have a straight line. On the chest line, I placed my bust point divided by 4. On the armhole line, I came down by 1 inch to get my shoulder slope. For the rest of the armhole line, I went ahead to measure it, divided it into 2, came in on that midpoint by ½ inch. So I will be joining from my shoulder slant to the midpoint to the chest line. So the next thing I will be doing is to place my round measurement. So I placed my bust round divided by 4 on my bust point, my waist round divided by 4 on my waistline. Okay, this dress is not going to be having a dart because I'm working with a poly fabric and it's very stretchy, so I wouldn't be adding a dart. I went ahead to join those lines, and I extended the line into the armhole. The next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my keyhole, and to do that I came up on the chest line with 3 inches and I drew a line across that point. From the neckline I came down with ½ inch and I also drew a line across that point. On this line I will be going in by 2.5 inches, and I will be making a slant line from that point to my neckline like so, and these points are the places I will be cutting out when I'm cutting on my fabric. So I went ahead to cut out this pattern. After cutting out my pattern, I'm also going to be cutting open this keyhole. And to cut open this keyhole, I went ahead to slash open this point, and I just cut out that pieces so that I have my main fabric and my yoke. I also went ahead to indicate that I will be adding at least ½ inch allowance to these points. I'll be cutting this front piece on a fold, and I'll be cutting 1 piece of that. I'll also be cutting the yoke pieces on a fold, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces of that. And after cutting it out, this is what I have. So I have 2 pieces of the yoke and 1 piece of the main fabric. Now I'm going to be working on the yoke first. So I open the 2 pieces of the yoke like so, and I will be pinning down around the neckline. Now I'm going to be taking it to my machine and stitching around the neckline and around the keyhole like so. And after stitching it, this is what I have. I went ahead to notch my curves. After notching my curves, I went ahead to turn it over, and this is what I have after turning it over. I'm going to be flipping one side twice like so that I have a coil at the middle of this neckline. Now I'll be introducing back my main fabric, okay, and I'm just going to open up my main fabric, and I'll be attaching the yoke to the main fabric of the front. I'm going to go ahead and place my yoke like so, and I will be pinning that down. After pinning down my yoke, I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'll be stitching about half an inch across that point like so. I'll be attaching my skirt piece of the front pattern like so. And after doing that, this is what I have. I'll be using my hemming gum to hold down that point because I don't want to be seeing stitches on that part, okay. Now for the back pattern, I went ahead to draw out my starting point with my shoulder line, and I also went ahead to mark out my zipper. So every other measurement I'll be taking for this back piece will be after these lines. So for the neck, I'm going to be going in by 3 inches, and I'll be coming down by 1 inch, and I'll be joining those points with a curve like so. I'll be placing my vertical measurement, my chest line at 8, my bust point at 10, my under bust point at 13, and my waistline at 16. And I'll be drawing a line across those points like so. I'll be labeling this point CL for the chest line, the bust point as BP, the under bust as UB, and the waistline as WL. Now I'll be placing my shoulder measurement divided by 2 on my shoulder line and on my chest line, just so I have a straight line. And I'll be coming down on that armhole line with about 1 inch and marking out my shoulder slope. Now for the rest of the armhole line, I went ahead to find the midpoint, and on that midpoint I went in by half an inch. On the chest line, I placed my bust round divided by 4. Now I'll be joining my shoulder slope to the midpoint to the chest line like so. The next thing I'll be doing is to mark out my round measurement. So I placed my bust round divided by 4 on my bust point and my waist round divided by 4 on my waist point, and I joined those lines like so, and I'll be extending the line to the chest line. So now for the zipper adjustment, I went in by 3/4 of an inch on the waistline, and I'll be drawing a slant line towards the chest line like so. Now to get the yoke for the back, I went up on the chest line with about 3 inches, and I drew a line across that point like so. So this point is going to be my yoke, and this part is going to be my zipper. I'll be adding allowance to these points I just marked out. Now I'll be cutting this out on my fabric. I'll be cutting 4 pieces of this yoke piece, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces on the main fabric, okay. And after cutting, this is what I have. I added my allowance, and I'll be working on the yoke pieces first. Now for the yoke, I went ahead to pair the 4 pieces, so I have 2 for each side, and I'll be making a stitch of about half an inch on that neckline like so. After stitching around the neckline, I went ahead to notch my curves, turned it over, and ironed it down. So now I'll be attaching it to my main fabric, and I'll be sewing about half an inch across that point. And I'll also be attaching my skirt pieces to the 2 pieces of the back pieces like so. After joining my back pieces, this is what I have. Now I'll be fixing my zipper, and to fix my zipper, I went ahead to open my zipper, and I'll be fixing to one side before fixing the second pieces. So now after fixing to one side, what I'll be doing is to zip it up, okay, and I'll be notching the joining. I'll be notching this point where the zipper joined at the chest line and at the waist, okay, and I'll be removing it. Now I'll be placing it on the second half, and I'll be making sure that those points I notched are at that joining part. So I'll be pinning it down. I'm doing this so that the joining will align with the other half of the back, okay. So after pinning it down, I'll take it to my machine, and I will stitch very close to the teeth of the zipper, and after doing that, this is what I have. As you can see, the two pieces matched up. So now I'm going to go ahead and close out my zipper. After closing out my zipper for the back, this is what I have. Now I'll be placing my front pieces on these back pieces, and I'll be joining the shoulders together. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and draft my sleeve, and for the sleeve I have a sleeve length of 24, and I'll also be marking my biceps point at 5. I'll be coming up from the full length with about 3 inches, and that is going to serve as the band that I will have around the wrist part. Okay, now for the biceps, I just placed my bicep round measurement on that biceps line. I did not divide anything. Now I will be making a slant line from that point to the edge of this pattern paper like so. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide that slant line by 2. For the rest of the armhole towards the underarm area, I went ahead to divide it by 2, and on that point I'll be going up with half an inch. I'll be coming down by 1/4 of an inch, and I'll be making a curve like so. So now I have my armhole. Now at the wrist, for that line, I'll be placing my wrist measurement without dividing it because I'll be pleating that point. And then for the full length, I'll also be placing my wrist measurement divided by 2 at that point. I'll be cutting this on my fabric, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces of this pattern on a fold. So after cutting out, these are the 2 pieces of the pattern that I have. Now I'm going to be using one of the sleeves to show you what I will be doing for the rest. For the band of this sleeve, I went ahead to just hold down one end. After holding it down, I'm going to go ahead and pin down the main sleeve on this band like so. I'll be making about 3 pleats on this sleeve. So I'll pleat the first one, pin it down, pleat the second one, carefully pin it down, and pleat the last one, pin it down. Okay, as you can see, it's aligning, and you're going to have to make sure that there is no excess remaining. If you still have excesses, it's very much okay to pleat more than 3 times. Now I'm going to take this to my machine, and I'll be joining it together. So this is what we have for the sleeve. Okay, now I'm going to notch the midpoint of this sleeve, and I'll be attaching it to the dress. Now that midpoint that I notched, right, I'm going to be placing my sleeve front side facing each other on the dress, and I'll be making sure that midpoint is at the shoulder joining area. Now I'll also pin down the underarm area of this sleeve to the underarm of the dress. I'll be making a pleat towards the joining part of the dress and the yoke. Okay, and I'll be pleating the rest of the fabric towards the center like this. I'll be doing the same thing for this other part. Towards the yoke and the main fabric joining, I'll make a pleat, and the rest of the fabric I'll also make a pleat on that part. Okay, so now I'll be taking to my machine, and I'll be stitching with about half an inch across like so. And after doing that, this is what I have. I'm going to be shaping my dress, and this is the final look. Hope this tutorial helped you. If it did, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really do like this dress, and if you will be recreating it, don't forget to give me a shout out. I don't know why you guys find it really hard to comment on YouTube. You should comment on my videos. That's the only way you can encourage me. Now see you in my next video. Bye.